That threw me off. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I'm Maddie Grace Webben.
I'm Bernard Hauk.
And today we are starting East 2, and we're playing until we get to a thing at Toal, is it?
The Sanctuary of Toal.
Sanctuary
the sealed
of Toal.
door at the Sanctuary of Toal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, folks. It turns out the way Sam worded it was really confusing, at least for me.
Agreed.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be worded a bit different in the description, so hopefully that avoids any problems for anyone playing along.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think we'll be fine. So, before we get into all that, how was everyone's week?
It's been the longest week of my goddamn life.
How so?
Just because last time we recorded was Monday, March 2nd, and a lot of things happened in the world last week, because of course I'm very heavily involved in various political spheres, but largely the Bernie campaign right now. And Super Tuesday was on Tuesday, as it does, and that was a huge basically I've just been working my ass off every day for like months, and Monday and Tuesday were super crazy. Like, I immediately went from podcasting to canvassing to work, and then back to canvassing, and then to sleep, and then I was super tired, and then I did more canvassing, and then I went to a party, and then y'all probably saw we had a nice little crossover episode. That's a joke, but my favorite podcast showed up, and I fangirled out about that. And then a lot of other things happened for like 6 more days, and then there was, and then I caught the coronavirus.
You did not.
No, you didn't.
I didn't catch the coronavirus, but legitimately, my I haven't had really bad allergies, and everybody keeps being extremely concerned about me, and I'm like, no, I it's just the fucking cherry blossoms. Like, it's fine. We have a lot of those out here, and they drive my allergies insane. Which, as Bernard said, sneezing is not a symptom of the coronavirus. But funny enough, last week I did for 1 or 2 days I was like, wow, my throat's getting pretty sore. Wow, I'm having a lot of indigestion. Hey, I actually do feel a little bit warm and a little bit like weak and a little lightheaded and weird. But I'm pretty sure that was just exhaustion. Because that would make sense. And then it went away, and now I'm fine. Also, I played the Final Fantasy VII remake demo, and I agree with Sam that it's going to be an incredible video game.
Good.
That's my week.
What about you, Bernard?
I don't know. Well, I went to the doctor, and he was like, "You are continuing to gain weight." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That's probably not good." And I was like, he was talking like doctors do, and I was thinking, it's fine to be, quote, overweight, unquote, as long as you're healthy and happy with where you are, but I'm neither of those.
Oops.
So I'm trying to lose weight again, but it feels like maybe it'll be different this time because I've learned a whole lot about food and my relationship with it, and also I've stuck with learning Japanese for over 40 days now, and maybe that means I can stick with stuff now.
I believe in you.
Good.
Yeah, keep at it. Man, losing weight is so fucking hard, and like, I'm back on my diet, and thanks, I hate it. I really don't want to be. I want to just eat whatever the fuck I want. But I'd also like to lose 20 pounds before I go to New Orleans this summer. So, and I will say, like, my relationship with food, I think, has gotten better since my diet, because I only gained 7 pounds after 4 months of being off the diet.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I cannot eat nearly as much as I used to be able to. So, I'm feeling pretty good about how I'm handling food these days. I still wish I could just eat whatever, but I'm better than I used to be. So, if I can do it, and I am one of the most weak-willed people on the face of the planet, I believe that you can handle it, Bernard.
I agree.
Thank you. Trying to think if there's been anything other than that. I don't know. Just being really stressed about the world.
Yeah.
I hear the stock market's getting annihilated this morning.
Not stonks.
Yep. The good news for us plebes is that gas prices are going down.
I've noticed gas prices are down.
So that's
very
good.
glad about that. As far as my week is gone, I got married again. And by that I mean in Final Fantasy.
I was like, what? That's a big shock, Eli. You didn't warn us about this.
No, my little ninja in Final Fantasy got married to his boyfriend, and it was super gay and super cute, and we had a really fun time, and the person who I thought was going to be problematic about all of it was actually really great. And I had a good time RPing with them. It was fantastic.
Wonderful.
It was drama-free. Like, everybody was on their best behavior. We all made horrible, dirty jokes all night.
I find it hard to believe that gays can exist and be drama-free.
I
know that. Just look at my current friend circle. I mean, what?
Our free company is full of queer men played by women on varying degrees of the sexuality spectrum.
Nice.
So yeah, drama definitely happens. But no, everybody was really great. We had a whole fuck ton of fun, and I'm super glad that we did it. And shout outs to Sale, who is my ninja my ninja Kaito's new husband. His player is super, super great, and we have so much fun RPing together, and I love her, and thank you for marrying my terrible disaster child. So...
That's what my parents said when I got married.
I think my parents definitely thought that. So, with that out of the way, shall we begin talking about this other game that we're playing?
Yeah, East.
Absolutely.
The second.
East 2, Ancient East Vanished, the final chapter.
Nice. I feel like it comes something the final chapter if there's just 2 chapters. Like,
Yeah,
true, but final implies that there's like a bunch, right? Like, we're finally there, folks. The second chapter.
There have been 15 Final Fantasies.
That's true. I guess Final Fantasy, after Final Fantasy came out, it's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want with that word. No one cares.
It doesn't mean anything
it doesn't
anymore.
mean anything.
Yeah. Because East 2 definitely was not the final East game.
Well, it is the final chapter of Ancient East Vanished. Anyway, go on.
So, I am still playing East Chronicles Plus on Steam. Maddie, what version are you playing now?
Yeah. So I switched to, because the first game, the second game, I don't think it exists on Sega Master System at all, not even in Japan. Or maybe it does, and it's just not a fan translation. Whatever.
It does not.
Yeah. So, even though I loved that version, I could not in any way continue with it. So I switched to the TurboGrafx CD version, which is called Ys Book 1 and 2, which is quite funny that apparently they're Book 1 and 2 in this particular case. I want to comment on it really quickly. This game is fucking amazing. It's got voice. Does y'all have voice acting?
No.
Mine has voice acting. You start it up, and there's an intro, and all the voice acting is extremely, like, Western, like, fantasy cartoon for children, where it's all these, like, vaguely, slightly British-sounding, just sort of vague fantastical kind of accent voices, and these bright anime, 80s anime character designs, and they're just like, Ys, an ancient land that blah 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 blah. But then the darkness happened, and ba-dee-ba-bee-ba-doo-ba-doo, and it fucking rules. So that's really cool and shocking and surprising and neat. The graphics are good but not incredible. The music is absolutely incredible. But here's the coolest thing: the game's not split into two games. I'm assuming in y'all's game you just play Ys 1, and then there's another game that's called Ys 2, right?
Yeah, in Steam, they're literally separate games. They're like, they don't share.
As far as I can
launcher
tell,
or
in
anything.
most releases, that's how it is. Even when they are released together on like a cartridge or something. In this game, it's just one game. So first of all, one problem with that is there's not like a menu where you can pick Ys 2. You just play, and you play through both of them. That poses a problem for me, who doesn't want to play Ys 1 all the way again, and also doesn't want to find another way to play the game. So, and the weird thing is, in addition to having a battery save, it also has a password system.
Oh, that's cool.
So I went online and looked up a password. I looked up passwords that was going to be right before fighting Dark Fact, who is called Dark Fact in this game. Thinking, I guess I'll just fucking fight him again. But none of those passwords worked, which is very concerning. But then I found, like, 2 other websites, and eventually I found one that did work, and it actually put me... Turns out, right after you beat Dark Fact, you have to press a button to read the Book of Fact, so you can save right there. So someone saved right after beating the boss and before the ending of the game. So I got to watch the ending of Ys 1 on this version, and this is why I wanted to bring this up. All that narration about, like, he looked over at Fina and thought of blah 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 blah. None of that. There's no narration. It's just a fucking awesome anime cutscene with no talking. With great music. Yeah, it's all just visual. You just see the characters looking up, and you see the darkness going away, and then you see him turning into a ball of light and shooting up into the sky and going to the floating land of Ys. So he goes up there. He goes to the floating land of Ys, and then he lands, and then in a voice-acted cutscene, a beautiful anime girl is talking to you, and now you're playing Ys 2. That's just how it is. There's not even, like, credits, or this has been the end of Ys 2, or of Ys 1.
So you actually get to see what happens, because that was one of my things that I wanted to say, and I forgot to, about Ys 1, is, like, the ending feels really bland, because you're just getting this big wall of text about what the hell happened afterwards. It's one of those show don't tell things, and all they did was tell. Like, they just gave us a big old wall of text about what happened, and it's very uninteresting and disappointing.
Ironically, in this version, you see, but if I hadn't already read what happened in that wall of text,
you wouldn't
I
know
wouldn't know what the fuck was going on.
Let's split the difference somehow. There's got to be a good middle ground.
I do think that my version would work fine on its own as well, because it is like, I don't know, I think this game does work on so many more abstract, you know, I told you I like how it works on that kind of abstract biblical / mythical level. So it being just totally visual and you don't really get what's going on, but like, fuck it, whatever, I think works just fine. But yeah, so that means that, like, Dark Fact isn't the final boss, he's just a boss. and when you get to the next game, I'm now, like, level 30, I was, like, level 37 when I started this game, although you do lose all your equipment. So they had to they had to cheat a little bit because you still have to re-get your equipment and shit like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's the version I'm playing. It's East Book 1 and 2 for TurboGrafx 16. I highly recommend this version of the game. It's beautiful and amazing, and again, it being just one game is very cool and weird.
I gave up again.
Aw,
Cool. No problem.
I am watching Bumpy McSquigums play East 2. So,
actually,
thanks, Bumpy.
I actually have a question for Bernard. Does East 2's combat work, like, aside from the magic? Does the basic combat action feel way different than East 1, or is that just me switching versions?
It is different in some ways. The big way is that if you hit an enemy while you're moving diagonally, you're pretty much always fine, which makes it a lot easier, and often you can just... Easier, yes. Often you can just push an enemy while you're going diagonally, push them into a wall, and then they're stuck in the wall, and you're running diagonally so they can't hurt you, and then you just beat them even if they're real tough. So that makes it a lot easier, and, I'm not really mad.
In my version, you can't even go diagonally. My version also plays a lot different, but not like that. But just the whole basic way that, like, what happens when you hit someone and how the collision works exactly, it's just way different than what I just played. I don't think I like it as much. I think it feels worse, or maybe I just haven't gotten used to it yet because I jumped in halfway through a game, so the game is expecting I've already played East 1 on TurboGrafx at this point. But yeah, it's a big change in mechanics. It feels loosey-goosey and wild, whereas the previous one to me felt very clunky, but like solid, and I knew exactly what was going on to an extent. But yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, let's go on.
So the game opens with a mysterious robed figure appearing in this weird dark area, and this giant gym thing appears, and they talk mysteriously about Adel overcoming Darm Tower, and the gym light thing wants to see how far he can go, and it's all very ominous and scary. And then there's an incredibly badass opening anime. The version that I'm playing, I believe this anime originated in the 2000 version, and it is so cool and badass, and I love it. And it was directed by Makoto Shinkai, who went on to direct the movie Your Name.
What?
Which I haven't seen, but...
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Y'all haven't seen Your Name? You motherfuckers. I knew Bernard hadn't seen it. Eli... y'all need to watch that movie as soon as maybe we should just make that our movie night. It's tangentially related.
But yeah, Makoto Shinkai apparently, when he got out of college, worked at Falcom for a while.
Huh.
That's cool.
Immediately after that, we see in the Chronicles version, we see a slightly different storytelling method that wasn't in East 1. We have this different sort of close-up, different from the close-ups in the previous one. It's hard to describe how it's different, but it's like sort of animated, like it's a close-up of this young woman and her mouth is moving as she talks, even though there's not voice acting in this one.
My game does this too, and it was fucking great, except mine was actually voice acted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she introduces herself as Lilia and says she had a premonition and walked this way, then saw you fall out of the sky. And also in this scene, I think Adel talks a little bit. There are subtitles that are in a different color, and they're saying, like, who are you?
Yeah.
Where am I?
In my version of the game, that happens. Here's the thing. I guess to keep a silent protagonist thing or something, Adel's not voice acted. So, like, she talks, but then you just see on the bottom of the screen, who are you, in the text, and then she responds to it. It's weird. At first I was like, the subtitles aren't matching up with what the girl's voice is saying. And then I realized it's not. It's like KOTOR, I guess, Remember how in KOTOR, whenever you pick your lines, they're not voice acted?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. So very, very, very strange. Cool that even the old TurboGrafx version had these changes.
The screen goes dark, and Adel awakes in Lilia's house, tended to by Lilia, her mother Benoa, and Leonor, who is a doctor. They tell him to rest, and it's very similar to the first game in this way. After Adel recovers, you go and talk to Benoa, and you ask about Ys, and she's like, yeah, this is Ys. Are you okay? So apparently we're on Ys. And the fact that I said on Ys instead of in Ys sort of reveals that it's a floating island.
So that doesn't show up in your anime cutscene?
The anime cutscene is very flashy.
Gotcha, and abstract. Yeah, that makes sense from your name guy. Yeah, in mine it's also flashy, but you definitely do see like him shooting up to a floating island in the sky. So that's like clear at least.
You don't see anything so narrative in our opening. But I think in the first scene when Lilia's waking you up, you can actually see over the edge, and you can... I mentioned in my notes that you can see this later, but I'm pretty sure when she's waking you up, you can see over the edge, and you can actually see Asteria below. Asteria has this very notable geographic feature that is like this ring of cliffs that we never mentioned, and you can see that on the ground below. Maybe that's where Ys, like, popped out of Asteria. I don't know.
Okay, I'm watching the anime opening now because you told me to and I forgot to do it. Holy shit.
Right? Benoa mentions that the nearby Moondoria Shrine and Restini Mine are full of monsters now. And as you leave, Benoa is like, oh, hey, could you deliver this letter to Leonor's brother, Dr. Flare? Apparently, Lilia unknowingly has a serious illness, and Benoa wants to discuss it with Flare. So, you can explore the town a bit, and the townsfolk have various things to say. One little boy says, "Where are you from, mister?" "What? Far away? There's nothing far away from here."
Little boy logic.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
So we go to the clinic, and we find Leonor is in a panic. He received a carrier pigeon from Flare saying he got trapped in a cave-in at Restini Mine. And Leonor asks Adel to help. He's like, hey, I can tell you're an adventurer. You seem to be a swordsman, even though you don't have a sword anymore. So, naturally, we say yes, because we're a hero.
Dadai.
The nurse, who's named Serena, says a guy named Astel is guarding the mine.
What an Astel.
A guy named Astal is guarding the mine and won't let you in unless you get permission from the village elder. So we go see the elder, whose name is Cornell, and he says he saw two beautiful women who looked like the goddesses, but they disappeared. And in the anime cutscene, we saw Fina and Rhea, so we know that they're still a thing.
Oh, I did not put two and two together.
So, who knows? Cornell asks if they were from the surface as well. So, he knows you're from the surface. And he says the books you carry were handed down by the priests of Ys and must have guided you here. He says that in Restini Mine, there is a room called the Sanctuary of Toal, where there are statues of the priests. And what he means is there are 6 rooms called the Sanctuary of Toal, and in each one there's an individual statue of the priest.
And it's scattered around a whole-ass dungeon.
Yes.
Yeah. Not accurate at all.
He says we should give the books to the statues. Cornell gives us permission to enter the mine. On the way out of town, we see Lilia picking apples. She gives us one. It can restore a bit of HP, or we can give it to an NPC as a gift. And this is a weird new mechanic. You can unlock secrets and stuff by giving NPCs gifts. And in the Steam version, you can actually unlock what are called mascots if you give an NPC enough gifts, where you just select it in the menu, and then from the corner of your screen hangs on a string the person's sprite, and it just bounces over there.
That's cute and weird.
So one fun thing we can do with giving people gifts right now is there's this dude named Brody, and if you give him 5 gifts, he tells you that the local ducklings have been eating gold. And if you go to approach a duckling after talking to him, it'll cough up 500 gold.
What?
And when we agreed to help Dr. Flare, Leonore gave us 300 gold, so we have over doubled our gold now.
Who is feeding these poor ducks gold?
This game's fucking weird, man.
He says the ducks will just eat anything that fits in their bills.
Someone should be taking better care of those ducks. That can't be good for them.
In the field outside of town, you can find a cliff where you can see a mountain with a huge structure on top, and it's very far away. Lilia shows up and says it's the Ice Ridge of Nolta, or Noita. I think I misspelled it here, and I'm not sure what it's called, but it's an ice ridge of something that begins with N and ends with A, and atop it is the Solomon Shrine, where the goddesses used to live. Moving on to the ruins of Moondoria, we can find an old man named Legs.
Yep.
Wait. Talking about characters' names, I will say, first of all, characters' names, they're all wild. Y'all forgot my favorite character. Is he a shopkeeper? No, the guy who, I guess he's like a smithy or something, though he doesn't work in the armor and weapons shop.
Oh.
He just is there. Anyway, his name's Guido.
Yeah, at least in my version, he's the one who sells you your armor and weapons.
Yep. So yeah, his name's Guido, and I just, I appreciate it.
I'm smithing here.
Hey, bring me some ore if you want me to make some better armor.
Yes, I didn't put this in the notes, but Guido is not able to make any great armor because he doesn't have iron ore because the mine is full of monsters.
Yep.
So he tells you if you can get him some ore, he'll buy it from you for good money, and then you can get armor from him. Right now he just has like the basic armor, which I believe is chainmail. And in East 1 we could get a sword for free if we did certain things, and in this game you can as well, because if you meet Old Man Legs and we don't have a sword, he admonishes us for coming here unarmed and gives us a short sword.
What?
He then says he has a favor to ask, but no, better not. We probably aren't ready to handle the power of the priests.
It's very ominous.
Yes. So Astal, a stall, lets us into the mine, but the baddies are really strong in there, so let's explore the ruins a bit more. We find a rhoda fruit. Apparently they have fruit as well, not just seeds. And an ancient tablet that says, "The words of the priests lie written in the 6 books, and their power will lead the hero to this land. Below ground is a door, sealed shut to halt the demon's advance. When the books have been restored to their rightful owners, that seal will be released." So, apparently we gotta give the books to the priests, which Cornell also told us to do. So the game really wants us to know to do that. At level 6, the level cap in this game is much higher, by the way. It's 55.
Wow.
I don't know what it is in the TurboGrafx version. Since the level carries over, it might be different.
Yeah, mine's way different. Also, I don't know if this is a change from East 1 to 2 or just my changing versions, but boy, the numbers in the shop are a lot nicer.
Mm-hmm.
Which is to say, it's a lot less grindy.
Nice.
Also, just easier in general. I just realized there could be a chance that the East 1 portion of the game doesn't have a level cap, which means the person who the person who generated the password that I used maybe was over leveled when they beat the game, which would make me then currently over leveled, even though I didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just hadn't considered that till just now. Anyway.
So at level 6, Legs asks us to go get a treasure in the ruins guarded by 2 stone golems. So we might have seen these golems earlier standing in front of a passage where there's a treasure chest. So we go and fight the golems. They're pretty tough.
They are.
And in the chest we find a rod of divinity. Yes. Legs tell you that the statue behind him represents the 2 goddesses, and if we touch the rod to it, we will inherit the power of magic. So we touch the rod to the woman, and
lewd.
We get magic points.
But nothing to do with them.
We have MP now. Yeah, we don't have spells yet.
But it's just like, you have MP, okay, fun.
Cool. Great.
Legs tells us that there are 6 forms of magic to be found.
I'm never gonna get over that name.
Yeah, that's such a dumb name.
It's so fucking great.
So we enter the Sanctuary of Toal again, and it's sort of confusing. We enter and we're in the Sanctuary of Toal, and we can sort of deal with the baddies there now. And right at the beginning, there is a sealed door, and it's sealed, so we continue on.
Yep.
And further in this main room that we entered, we find another door, which leads to the tomb of Priest Hadel. And there's a statue of him. And the statue tells us disaster and demons once again plague East as they did below. He says, "He who controls them resides within the Solomon Shrine. When you have brought each of the books of East to its rightful owner, the way there shall be open to you." So we go back out and we find a staircase down into Ristini Mine. And the mine is a fucking maze, and I hate it.
It's a pretty tricky one. Yep.
I am so bad at mapping out areas in my brain.
Me too. So glad I'm not playing.
Well, you know what you can always try doing if you can't map areas out in your brain?
Map them out on paper.
Did you?
Nope.
No.
Mapping out things on paper is so gratifying. I highly encourage anyone to do it. I didn't do it here because I could just barely handle it in my brain, but I considered it. It's fun. It's a good time. But yeah, this maze is pretty tricky.
And that's as far as we got before Maddie's terrible computer exploded like it was fucking the Tandy, whatever the number that comes after Tandy is. Strong Bad's first terrible computer.
Hi, everybody.
So we're re-recording the second half of this episode a week later. And
welcome from the future.
Yeah.
Wow, what a week it's been.
Oh, boy.
We'll discuss it on the next episode. Right now, let's just let's pretend like it's still a week ago.
Well, I will say, at the beginning of this episode, we had some maybe like lighthearted jokes about like Maddie getting coronavirus and stuff. Maybe that's not so funny anymore.
Whoops. I would also like to issue a quick correction. In the previous episode, I said something about like 38% of people believe that Corona beer is linked to the coronavirus. Yeah, that was a dumb tweet that I did not source, and I'm sorry. It's not true.
It actually is a actually pulled fact that Corona beer sales have tanked.
Yes.
Though.
Have they tanked more than the sales of most non-essentials?
Yeah, no, they tanked like right away, even before it became a thing in America.
Ah, well.
Yeah.
Nevertheless.
Anyway, I think joking about having the Rona is still funny, but also, yes, it's, yes, I understand.
Jokes that we make privately with our friends about terrible shit.
That's true, yes.
is different from making those same terrible jokes with all the people who listen to us.
It's true. The new joke is that I call it coronavirus, and I'm going to say it every single time.
Like homosexual.
Yeah, it's just funny.
Pair
I
of
laugh
Sight,
every time I say it. I don't care.
2019.
I don't care if anyone else. I don't care if anyone else thinks it's funny. I think it's funny.
Cool.
So, we left off talking about how the mine is a fucking maze and how we should all be as good as Maddie and map it out on paper.
Me.
But
Well, no, I didn't actually map it out on paper. I just suggested that it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, if you like drawing. Wait. Shit.
Eli, you're the one who actually can draw things.
That's the joke. Go on.
Yeah.
so we go deeper into the mine and we find the other statues of the priests one by one. And you can find them in really any order, but the priest Tova tells us that we must collect all 6 forms of magic to defeat the evil plaguing Ys. And the guide that I'm referencing, it says you actually only need to get 4 of them, so that's funny. The priest Dabby, which is a terrible name for a priest, says...
I'm dabbing right now.
Priest Dabby says, "When trouble arose in the land, Ys was lifted into the sky with powerful magic. With it came the source of all demonkind, unbeknownst to those thereupon. Demons are a byproduct of magic itself. They are the flip side of the coin. With magic there shall always be demons inexorably. To end this correlation, we need the goddesses, and so it falls upon you, warrior, to find them." Deeper in the mine, we find some rubble blocking a passage, and the narration notes there's a hole just small enough for a bird to pass through. You hear Dr. Flare calling from behind the rubble, and he says we could get through with a mattock. If we're lucky, we have already found a mattock, and if we're really lucky, we might know what a mattock is.
Matlock?
Yes. It's sort of like a pickaxe.
And mine, it's just a pickaxe.
Yeah. They had to be fancy in the Chronicles version.
Yeah.
So we use the pickaxe to get through the rubble, and
Wait, hold on. As you're trying to get through the rubble, it's taking a while. The other guy on the other side's going, "When's Maddock?"
that's hilarious. Flair thanks us for saving him, and we give him Benoa's letter, and he reads it. He says he needs a rhoda fruit and a salsetta flower to make the medicine to cure Lilia. We already found the fruit in the ruins, probably. He says the flower might be found deeper in the mine. And also in this room, there is another passage filled with rubble. If we investigate it, Dr. Flair's like, don't even try. That whole passageway's caved in. It would take a whole team, like a couple weeks to dig through there. On the other side of that is part of the Sanctuary of Toal. But you're not going to be able to get there through there, so that's something we're going to have to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we leave this room, and we continue searching for more areas of the Sanctuary of Toal. We find Priest Gemma, and he says, "As demons were born of the power of magic, they were pitiable creatures with no purpose in life, other than to fight and eventually to die. As has ever been the case with all living beings, their existence is dictated by their appearance. However, if you could speak with them, perhaps they would have more to say than expected."
Oh, hey, that's funny now that we are in the future.
Yeah, it is. So Priest Mesa says, 700 years ago, Ys was transformed into a massive arc in the sky in hopes of escaping the threat of the demons. At its summit sits Solomon's shrine. To reach it, you must climb the wall of ice and cross the moat of lava. So we're going to get an ice level and a lava level.
Hell yeah. Lava, 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 lava.
Very deep in the mine, we find the first boss, Velagunder. And I don't remember doing this in Ys 1, but in Ys 2 at least, the Chronicles version, it shows the name of the boss. And they're all nonsense. So Velagander has this like core that you have to hit with fireballs. You can't attack it physically. You have to hit it with fireballs as it goes across the screen, and it has arms that go around and sort of block the fireballs that you're trying to shoot at it, and it's shooting projectiles at you, and it's pretty much a shmup boss.
Yeah, the game's a shmup now on account of your fire magic. It's a real good time. It's not a very hard boss. Did you have trouble with it at all?
It took me a number of tries. I had to actually change the way I was playing. I had been using the control stick all up until this point because my version of the game has 360-degree movement. But I found it a lot easier to properly aim and avoid the attacks in this specific situation using the D-pad.
For mine, he has a very specific pattern, and it's pretty simple. And the movement is tight, but once you get it, you just do it over and over and over, and it's easy. He goes right in front of you, and then opens his mouth, and then shoots his bullets, and the mouth is open for a little longer, and then he closes his mouth, right? When he shoots a bullet, he shoots a really big one right in front of his mouth, and then there's 2 off to the side, and then 2 more, so there's 5. But there's a gap between the middle one and the 2 that are next to it. So you literally just stand right in front of him, look him straight in the face, shoot him in the mouth. You can actually pump him with quite a few bullets. And then, like, just tap the fucking D-pad. Just, like, boop! Like the tiniest little sidestep to avoid that bullet. And then you move back. And you keep doing that.
I probably could have done something similar because the pattern is like you described. But I was too amped up, and I wasn't thinking clearly.
Well, I play a lot of bullet hell shooters, so for me, when there's a bunch of bullets coming at me, I don't immediately think, run away. I think, stand in between them.
Whereas me, I mainly just, like, once every 5 years play Gradius 5, and when I do, I cry.
Yeah, you gotta keep your cool, so.
I've only played Undertale.
Same thing.
So, in the area beyond Velagunder's arena, we find a Celceta flower. So, yay!
Huzzah.
We also find really strong enemies. If we manage to get past them, we find a chest with the light magic. And I was like, oh, fucking thank God, this mine is so dark. But when I activated the light magic, it, like, is this little ball of light a little ways out from you that circles around you. And it's, like, casting these shadows and these really cool lighting effects in the Chronicles version. And it looks really cool, but it's really distracting and not really very helpful for seeing anything.
It didn't look like it would be when I was watching. I was like, it's not actually doing anything.
In my game, it's not distracting and bad, but it is very unhelpful. In my game, at this point, I wandered around for ages, having no idea what to do. And the light magic, I would equip it and hit a button, and I'd be like, it's not doing anything. I don't get it, you know? Eventually I realized that while I had it equipped, my magic was slowly draining. And at that point I was like, okay, something is happening. I just don't know what it is. So I thought maybe it'll reveal hidden passages or something like that, you know? Anyway, it turns out that if you're at the bottom of the screen or anywhere else, but usually it's the bottom of the screen, and there's like a, you know, like the way that walls are represented in games when they're in the foreground where it's just like blackness, the blackness will have the tiniest little aura or halo of like blue light, like almost as if light were spilling out from the other side. But it's really fucking subtle. I mean, once you notice it, it's unmistakable, right? But yeah, so when you see that, it shows you where hidden passages are, and that's literally all it does. And kind of cool once I figured it out, but yeah.
Yeah, the light magic in the Chronicles version also shows you the hidden passages. It is probably a lot easier to spot them because it's actually this really big, like, ripple effect that is really easy to spot.
Yeah. So wait, so does yours, in addition to being confusing and distracting, does it actually light things up more, though?
Yes, it does, just in a very unhelpful way.
Right. In mine, it doesn't do that either. You still have that same little window of light around you that's the same amount as always.
Yeah. In the Chronicles version, they're showing off how they're doing these like really cool lighting effects.
Yeah. Which, good for them.
Mm-hmm.
The programmers were having a fun time.
Yeah. So in one of the passages we find with the light magic, we find an evil bell, and it's really spooky.
Oh,
It looks like, yeah.
It's very spooky.
You can use it at will, and unless you use it at the place where you're supposed to, it doesn't do anything bad, even though it's the evil bell. And it just kind of goes, ding, 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 ding. And yeah, it sounds like ominous.
Yeah, and in the Chronicles version, you can see a picture of it in the items screen, and it looks like a demon's hand holding a skull, a human skull.
Oh, yeah.
With, like,
mine too.
jangles connected to it. It's real spooky.
I like to think that it's like a misunderstood goth bell and not truly an evil bell.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's like how, as slang, sometimes we'll say that things are sick or bad.
Oh man, that's
maybe evil
that's
actually
fucking
means
evil,
like
dude.
Yeah,
wicked.
Yeah, it's like wicked. It actually means like fucking cool. Like this thing just owns and it sounds cool. It doesn't do anything evil. And as we see later, maybe when you use it, it just makes people want to come rushing and come dancing. They're just like, oh hell yeah, someone's playing the evil bell.
Maybe
Let's
that
party.
was the deal with the evil ring in the previous game. Like,
nope, there definitely was another thing going on with that.
The evil ring just fills you with so much funky beats that it immediately kills you. You can't handle it. You can't handle my potions, traveler.
I'm pretty sure, actually, if you use the evil bell in places where you're not supposed to, and there's demons nearby, I'm pretty sure it will attract them to you.
I experimented with that, but I couldn't tell. Maybe in your version.
I don't know.
Or maybe in my version, I'm just dumb.
So we have this evil bell. We don't know what to do with it. But we've pretty much exhausted the mine. And we weren't able to find a way to Priest Fact's tomb. So we might as well go and save Lilia's life.
I guess.
So we take the ingredients to Dr. Flair, and he makes some medicine from the ingredients. We give the medicine to Benoa, my notes here are kind of bad, so I'll just try to remember how it goes. We give the medicine to Benoa, and she's like, oh, thank goodness, we'll be able to save Lilia from this horrible sickness she's got that she doesn't know about. And then we step outside to go get Lilia, but she's right there, and she heard everything, and she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know my mom knew I was sick. I knew I was sick, but I was keeping it from her. Mom knew she was
Real
sick.
gift to the Magi situation. Yeah.
I don't know how the mom, found out she was sick without Lilia finding out she knew that. I don't know. Anyway, so Lilia is very touched that you went through all this danger to save her, and she goes in and she gets some medicine, and everyone's very emotional. And as thanks, Benoa gives Adel the return magic. It works like a wing in that it returns you to a town, and it's really good that we get this magic because I sure as fuck am never going to remember to buy a damn wing.
Nope.
There are wings you can buy in this game. Did I buy one before going into Orsini Mine?
Sure didn't.
No.
Nope, me either. Absolutely not. That's me playing Dragon Quest games.
Mm-hmm. So if we talk to Lilia afterwards, she mentions that strange things have been happening since a little before our arrival, including people hearing ominous sounds from underground the town. She's freaked out by the evil bell. She says it might be the fabled evil bell, which is said to draw demons. If we talk to the villagers, they also mention the ominous sounds, and one of them says it seems to be coming from under the house of this dude named Gila. If we go into Gila's house and talk to him, he says creepy noises have been coming from the basement, and he hasn't been able to sleep because of it, and he asks you to check the basement for demons.
Are we sure it's pronounced Gila and not Gila? He's just a Gila monster?
I didn't know that was pronounced that, but I'm sure...
I also
You're welcome.
Thank you,
I'm glad to educate you today.
But I'm sure it's pronounced Gila Monster because there is a Steam achievement called Gila's Monster that you get for clearing out the demons in the basement.
Yeah, so...
Because this game is full of terrible jokes.
Yep.
I just love how it's like Steam is like it's like a rule. It's like a contract you have to sign where like whatever division of your studio is in charge of putting the game on Steam. It's like, hey, is this a really serious game? Like where like I don't know, like the demon is like a metaphor for your abusive ex-spouse or something, and like yeah. Okay, well, you still have to put a bunch of dumb pop culture references in the Steam achievements. Like, is that a contract thing? Every single game does it.
Well, I mean, East has bad jokes and pop culture references sprinkled into the game itself as well.
That's true. It's obviously not as
jarring,
out of place in this game as it would be in other games, but still.
Yeah. So we agree to check Gila's basement for demons. And we go down to the basement, and there's an ominous presence. If we ring the evil bell, a fuck ton of demons break through the wall.
They're coming to have a party.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, they
want a party on your bones.
Bone party.
So if we manage to get past the demons, there's a tunnel behind the wall that leads to the final part of the Sanctuary of Toal, where we find Priest Fact's tomb. Priest Fact says, "The demons' strength grows daily, and soon the powers we've been granted will be no more. They still function by the grace and protection of the goddesses, but their time grows to a close bit by bit. If the demons are not stopped, their reign of chaos and destruction shall expand and consume the world entire. But you, warrior, may yet bring peace. Solomon's shrine hides the source of all. Go there and put an end to he who governs this evil. A relic exists, granted by the goddesses. It is known as the Scroll of Guidance. Stand before them and read it, and the way shall be made plain to see. Each of the goddesses' statues is blessed by their will and favor. First find their graven image in Moondoria, and to receive their wisdom. For now it is merely blank paper, but open it before the statues, and you will be told what you must do. Now the sealed door to Solomon's shrine shall be opened." So... does he give us the Scroll of Guidance here? Or did we get that earlier?
I think yes. Yes, he do. Or we get it some... No, I think you just get it in like a fucking chest.
No, I'm pretty sure a priest gives it to you. Yeah. Priest Fact gives it to you.
Maybe whichever one you go to last just gives it to you.
Well, Priest Fact would be the one you go to last, probably.
Most likely, yeah.
Well, anyway, we have the Scroll of Guidance, and it's been a fucking week, so we might not remember exactly, because my notes are not perfect. So, after this, we can clear all the demons out of Gila's basement for a side quest, and this involves killing a ridiculous amount of demons in his basement, like dozens and dozens. But if we do, we get a bunch of XP, and we also get the Steam achievement, Gila's Monsters.
I tried to kill them, and I think the guide I was using suggested I kill all of them, but I don't know. I feel like they were literally just respawning infinitely. I killed them for a fucking while, so I think maybe in this version of the game you can't kill all of them, or maybe it just takes even longer. Who knows?
I don't know.
There were a lot of monsters.
So, yeah, we take the scroll of guidance that Priest Fact gave us. Oh, here in my notes it says Priest Fact gave us the scroll of guidance. There we fucking go.
There you go. There you go. Thanks, Pastor Bernard.
So the scroll of guidance, we take it to the goddess statue in Moondoria ruins, and we get the following message. To the one who reads the scroll, you are the last hero upon whom we, the 6 priests of Ys, place our hope. The world now teeters on the brink of ruin. Our strength alone is not sufficient to stop the forthcoming catastrophe. We need the strength of a warrior. Please journey to Solomon's shrine. You will find statues of the goddesses scattered throughout the land. Stand before them and unfurl the scroll, and you will be shown a measure of their wisdom. Please, warrior, do what you must to reach Solomon's shrine. I really hope people are enjoying my priest voice, because we're getting a lot of it.
I love it.
It's good. it whips.
So, down in the sanctuary, we see the sealed door near the entrance that we couldn't get through before is open. What lies beyond? We'll find out next week.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, let's pause, and I'll put some music in when I edit this. And now, do you have any memorable moments that you can still remember?
Sure do. Bernard, I already talked about like the graphics and the voice acting in the previous week's part, right?
No, because this is the first episode on East 2.
Right, I didn't just mention it while you were chatting.
I don't know.
No, it's got voice acting. It's real good. Okay, so one of the things that I like a lot is that in my translation of the game, which is for the most part quite good, though the priests are much less verbose, the enemies are almost exclusively referred to as goons. So you get sentences like, there are a lot of goons around here, and it is very dangerous to go out.
Hired goons.
Also, something I didn't mention last week, because I didn't notice it at first, is that the character named Leg that y'all were laughing about, because Leg is a dumb name for a person, in mine, he's named Reg.
Huh.
Which is a weird name, but until we did our episode, I didn't parse it as a localization error of Leg. I was just like, Reg, kind of weird. And now I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I get it.
Short for Reggie.
Short for Reggie. Also, the guy who runs the store is named Guido.
Yes.
Yep, I know you like that.
Yep, there you go. Also, his apprentice's name is Roodle. Roodle in my version of the game.
People sure have some fucking names, and
they really, really fucking do. What do y'all got?
Eli, do you have anything?
I think I had mentioned about how, like, Gila's just, like, kind of nonchalant or just kind of, like, exasperated about the demons in his basement. Like, oh, my basement's full of fucking demons again. Like,
yeah, he seems pretty chill in mine as well. He's just like, I mean, he just gotta just don't go down there, you know?
It's just like, it's not really a thing. It's just something he's used to dealing with. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't think I really had anything beyond that.
Mm-hmm. So I have a few, and luckily they were in my notes, so I can remember them all. So Benoa had asked you to give this letter to Flair, and when Leonore is asking you to go save Flair, he sees that you have a letter for him, and Leonore says, "All right, go Benoa. With two of us pressuring you to find him, you really have no choice but to give in."
Like the way
Very
he thinks.
nice.
Yes. And if you ask Nurse Serena to heal you, she's like, you can just stand outside and you'll be healed. Or you can just rest at Manoa's house. I mean, I'll heal you. It'll cost money.
This world has universal healthcare, which means that the universe heals you
Yeah.
automatically.
But you can still pay money for her to heal you if you want. And she acts like it's weird and a big imposition, and I found that really funny.
Yeah.
Medicare for all who want it.
Yeah. So Brody, the guy who tells you about the ducks eating gold, you have to give him a bunch of gifts to get him to tell you that. And as you give him gifts, he's saying things like, "Oh, thank you, but I'm not going to give you anything back in return. Thanks, but I'm really not going to give you anything. I don't believe in social obligations like that. This dude probably doesn't tip."
Motherfucker. No, he's just being coy.
Okay. And eventually he says, "No matter how much you give me, you're not getting anything in return. I'm not like other NPCs that way, I swear." And I'm realizing, in my memorable moments, I'm not so much putting jokes that I like as much as jokes that are notable, because I don't like this joke. I think it's a bad fourth wall break.
No, it's fucking stupid.
Anyway, and the last line...
That's some RPG Maker shit.
Yeah, it is.
Nothing against RPG Maker people, but sometimes they have bad jokes.
And the last line that I found really fun was when we met Legs, and he says, "My name, believe it or not, is Legs, but you may call me the Leg Man if you so desire."
It's like a morning show. Like, Adol and the Leg Man. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah. And that's all I had.
Hell yeah. I had two more quick ones. Most of the dungeons in this game are pretty normal, things are icy or fiery or cavey. But the dungeon that is the ruins, I thought was really, really fucking good. I think I'll screenshot last time, this time I'm not going to bother. I mean, y'all did it. Where it's like, it's ruins, but there's also trees around, and there's also some water around. And sometimes the actual, wall of the dungeon, like the impassable barrier that forms the geometry of the actual level design, sometimes it's a wall, like a ruined wall. Sometimes it actually is the trees. So you're actually outside of the ruins, but there's still some trees that you can't get through. And then there's the sort of whole east side that is just blocked by a lake. At one point you have to sort of go to just a tree area, and it looks like you can't go through the trees, but if you look closely, there's a little gap, and you kind of can wiggle through. And that's actually a required way to go for one of the things that you have to do in this game. I'm sure that the design is probably the same for y'all's game as well, so y'all know what I'm talking about. But also, I think it especially looks great with the graphics of the version that I'm playing. It's cool as heck. I'm a big fan. And then I hope they have other. I hope that's not the last interesting kind of non trope following dungeon. And then the other one I wanted to read is one of the shrine statue thingies. Most of them are just the same as what Bernard said, except shorter and less interestingly written. But this one is really cool. Where is it? These are the words of Gemma. "The evil in our lives is a direct reflection of our goodness. The creatures who hound us have a sad fate. They live their lives in the sinister shadow of darkness, and I often wonder what they would have to say to the forces of light." This seems neat. Makes me still feel sad for the little guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you're still going to kill them.
I'm still going to murder them. Which that becomes even more funny next week.
Yeah. So next week we are playing until we enter Ramia Village. That wasn't our original stopping point, but that's as far as I got, and I was like, I don't want to play more, so we're stopping there and deal with it.
Yeah, It's totally fine.
Perfect.
So, someone who's not me, sign us off.
That is it for our episode. If you liked what you heard, check us out on rpgbook.club. We have links to all of our fun places, like our Discord, which is the funnest place. You should join. And our email is rpgbookclub@gmail.com. We have a Twitter @rpgbookclub. You should also check out our Ko-Fi, which is ko-fi.com/rpgbookclub. Basically, if it has RPG Book Club in the name, that's us. Not necessarily, but, you know.
So surprisingly so,
yeah.
Honestly. It's a pretty simple name for a thing. You'd think someone else would have come up with it, but really no. Like, yeah, it's pretty much us all the time, unless they're saying something really racist, in which case
yeah, definitely not us.
I mean, that actually is true. I don't think we said anything super racist. I'm not just doing that as a disclaimer.
Yeah. But if you donate to us, you can help choose what games we're playing. We have votes, although the next game is already set in stone. We're not voting on that. It's happening. Check all those out, and we're glad to have you with us for RPG Book Club. I have been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I've been Maddie Grace Spiffle Webbin.
And I'm Bernard, who has always gone third.
Yeah.
It's true.
Toodaloo.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.